Rebecca brought up Russia, their position here. They're still standing foursquare behind President Assad's regime. One of our viewers here, All for Jury, writing in that this is, in his view, essentially a Cold War problem. It's like the Cold War revisited. The Russians exercising their power to stand up against the U.S. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I would, absolutely. And as somebody who saw the Berlin Wall firsthand, was stationed in Berlin and watched it fall, I can definitely agree with that. What we have to do in this particular case is confront the Russians in the same Cold War mode that we did in Korea, for example. Now, I'm not saying that we should go to war like we did in Korea, but what we should do is we should be very firm with them and use NATO and perhaps other alliances as a way to get around the Russian and Chinese opposition in the UN. I think the time has come where we have to really basically put Russia and China on the side of the Assad regime as villain A, Al-Qaeda as villain B, and then hopefully a better set of actors in the Free Syrian Army or other players to be named later. And that's what we're looking for, I think.
Rebecca, what kind of weapons in a diplomatic, economic, political sense do you believe we have to deal with Russia and really put some pressure on them to toe the sort of more accepted international line here that President Assad needs to stop the violence?
Well, the first thing that the Obama administration needs to do is stop pretending that the Russian Federation is a friend of the United States when they're not. The Obama administration needs to stop appeasing Russia. We just saw several days ago that Russian officials came out and said that they would attack American forces in Europe if we were to actually deploy missile defense systems in which we're working with the Europeans on. And then the Russians accuse Republican members of Congress of speaking in Cold War terms when they're talking about actually attacking American forces in Europe, which is, by definition, that is a Cold War thing to say and to aggress upon. So I think that the administration needs to actually just have some intellectual honesty about where the Russians are and stop this Russia reset and actually deal with the Russians head on in diplomatic ways.
Would you agree with that, Colonel?
Absolutely. I think Rebecca is right with that, because what we need to do, the only thing that the Russians will understand is a direct approach that says we will put missile defenses in Europe, a direct approach that says if you threaten us, we will basically respond, so don't do that. And that's the kind of answer that they need. I don't want to see a conflict between the United States and Russia, but it seems as if they are asking for one, and that is a very difficult situation to find ourselves in, but the only way you extricate yourself is by showing strength diplomatically and militarily.
Rebecca, what did you make of the announcement yesterday? What kind of game is being played when President Putin announced he would not now be coming to the NATO summit missing the G8 summit too? What's going on there?
Well, Putin is a wonderful, excellent politician. This is what he's good at doing. He basically just said that, the Obama administration made more overtures to Putin, inviting him to the White House even to have this meeting where Putin said that now that he wouldn't do so. And so I think that Putin is he's flexing some muscle. He's kind of showing off and saying that he doesn't need to do what the United States wants to do and what NATO wants him to do. And that's exactly what it is. And the Obama administration continues to respond with weakness. This administration has been absolutely terrible at picking who our friends are and who our allies are. Every opportunity there's been a chance for the United States to support our ally, or to support the forces of freedom, we have failed. And where there's an opportunity to actually embolden and appease our enemies, it seems like this administration is willing to try that card.
President Putin, of course, not just an entertaining politician, but also quite the hockey player, as he showed after he won the election again, was out on the ice. Very odd. He is certainly quite the character, isn't he, Colonel? Is there a surefire way of dealing with him?
Well, I think beyond the idea that we don't want to see President Obama riding horseback without his shirt on, like Putin did, we need to make sure that we respond to his overtures by saying, "Great, you're not coming to our meeting at the White House or at Camp David. That's fine. But here are the things that we need from you. We need you to behave responsibly in Syria. We need you to work cyber attacks that emanate from Russian soil. We need you to really disavow statements by your senior military people that indicate that they would attack U.S. forces or allied forces in Europe. So those are the kinds of things that we need to stand up to, and I think Rebecca is right to say that these are the areas where, you know, if you show weakness, you are going to end up with a real problem, a much bigger problem than what you originally had, and that's the real danger.
All right, it's a fascinating debate. Colonel Cedric Leighton, U.S. Air Force retired, president of Cedric Leighton Associates, thank you very much. Great to have you here. And Rebecca Heinrichs, visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Great to see you, Rebecca. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too, Jonathan. Thank you.